what the just happened, Ben. It was counting down, and now it's just
Yeah.
recording on Words About Books, the most professional book-related podcast on the entire internet, I guess.
Yeah.
I almost said I'm Ben because that's just how professional we are. I'm Nate, you're Ben,
I've thrown off your entire process.
and today, Ben, we're going to answer a very crucial question. Do androids dream of electric sheep?
They do not.
Damn.
But,
Also, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to count the sheep. I don't think you dream
well,
of the
he
sheep.
dreamed of sheep. Dreamt of sheep. Whatever the verb is. So, yeah, we're covering Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Phillip K. Dick.
Also known as Blade Runner, the much cooler name.
Blade Runner is a much cooler name. And obviously, this is the book that Blade Runner, the movie, is based on.
My Audible book was actually just called Blade Runner, like front and center. And I think up in the top, in much smaller font, it was originally published as Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
Yeah, there's definitely an overshadowing of the novella by the movie. I had never seen the movie, to
You
my shame,
bastard.
but I did watch it for this podcast.
I did not.
And as I understand, there are like 50,000 different versions of the Blade Runner movie.
Did you watch the one where Han Solo does the voiceover in the boring
No.
voice? Okay.
I
heard that one was the bad
That's what
version.
I heard too. So I sought out the one where he doesn't do that. I sought out the final cut because I think the director's cut also wasn't a director's cut. Like the director's cut was different. I think maybe they cut out the voiceover, but it wasn't. The director didn't actually have final cut on the director's cut. So the final cut, I don't know. I watched the final cut. I watched the longest one.
The final cut is possibly the final cut, is what
I
you're
watched the
telling me?
one with the full unicorn scene. We'll get to that.
Okay.
All I can tell you is perhaps too much has been made of the unicorn scene. I think
There are 7 versions
Jesus Christ
of the 1982 film.
Okay, this is a book podcast. Thank God every day. I thank God for that. This is not...
Now we have to do it. We have to watch all 7 versions.
I'm literally not going to do that. Let's do a quick about the author. So Philip K. Dick is a very famous author.
Yeah, he made The Man in the High Tower.
Man in the High Castle.
Oh, my bad. High Tower, that's the Game of Thrones guy.
I didn't know a ton about Philip K. Dick before we sat down to do this. I was mostly familiar with Philip K. Dick, PKD, as he's called, by hanging out with a lot of people who...
Is that what he's called?
Yeah. That's actually the first sentence in his wiki page, often referred to by his initials, PKD.
Okay.
So, PKD, I mostly know about him by hanging out with people who did acid.
Okay.
He's really popular with them.
Good.
And I was expecting maybe like a little like Frank Herbert because of that. I'm thinking like, oh, maybe we're going to transcend time and space. Not in this one. This is not one of his trippier works. I understand it's kind of early in his career. It's before
he hadn't done a whole lot of acid yet.
He hadn't had a lot of his transcendental experiences.
I don't know, man. Are you trying to tell me that owning another living creature is not a transcendental experience, Ben? You get to care for a life. That sheep lives and dies based on what you do.
Philip K. Dick was both, at times, both a communist and a libertarian.
What?
Uh,
What? What?
he was.
How? You're gonna have to explain this one.
I'm just going to list some facts about Philip K. Dick, and I'll see if I can make it make sense to you.
Okay.
Philip K. Dick was married one, two, three, four, five times. One of those marriages lasted not even a year. He dropped out of college because he didn't want to take mandatory ROTC training. I think this was during NOM, so he was protesting that. He got into communism when he was young, but as time went on, he got into libertarianism, and he once described himself. I'm reading some of the Wikipedia page. I have notes, but some of this is just too interesting not to quote verbatim. He once described himself as a religious anarchist.
What? Did Philip K. Dick, like, did he just make that first year of college when you think that you know everything but you don't, like his entire personality?
Um, I'll be honest with you. I get the vibe that old PKD may have been a deeply troubled man. There's definitely some perhaps
Yeah.
diagnosed and
He
undiagnosed mental illness here. I think he did spend some time in an institution following a suicide attempt.
probably because he thought that Japan and Germany could jointly occupy the United States, which was never gonna happen.
Uh, Dick wrote all of his books published before 1970 while on amphetamines.
Join the club. Who isn't on amphetamines anymore?
This guy right here,
It's called winter juice, okay?
Sleepy Ben, not on amphetamines.
Sleepy Ben. See, if you were on amphetamines, you wouldn't be so sleepy.
That would really counter the antidepressants. Maybe just I gotta find like a nice even, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a balancing act.
Yeah. So he also died shortly before Blade Runner came out, and he died in kind of a weird way. He had a stroke, which is not in and of itself weird, but he seemed a little young to have a stroke. So I looked into it, and he one day he called his therapist, and he said that he was having trouble seeing,
Oh.
and his therapist told him to call 911 immediately.
Yeah?
He did
Good
not.
call. Oh. Yeah,
Uh,
he probably should have.
yeah, the following day he was found unconscious. He had a stroke. He had another stroke at the hospital, and then eventually he was brain dead, and they just took him off life support. Weird guy. He's a weird guy. There's plenty of people who go super into Philip K. Dick. I'm not going to be one of them. He seems to have led an interesting life. I'm telling this in a weird, wacky way because it's words about books and it's supposed to be kind of funny, but also he's it, it's strange. He's a strange man with a strange mind who wrote about strange topics that kind of could only come from his unique perspective. I'll give him that. Like he's got a voice, he's got a perspective, and he asks a lot of interesting questions, especially for the time he was writing.
Like, do androids dream of electric sheep?
Not one of his more interesting questions.
Do they? Do they?
He's not. So you know how like William Gibson, Neuromancer, Count Zero, Mona
We could just
Lisa
stop at
Overdrive.
Neuromancer.
No, 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 no,
just
no, 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 no.
Neuromancer.
I'm
and...
talking specifically about the titles of the books.
Oh, okay. 2 for 3. Yeah.
He's just got like a way with naming stuff. PKD doesn't have that. The material's solid, but Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is like the worst title for this story And I can see why they changed it to Blade Runner 100%. Even though, I'll tell you the truth, Blade Runner doesn't make any goddamn sense at all, even in the context of the movie.
Sounds fucking metal.
It sounds amazing.
He runs blades.
Well, it's like Mona Lisa Overdrive. At no point did Mona go into overdrive. That's just a really good name.
What about Ubik? 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 How do you say that? What the fuck is that?
What are you talking about?
This is a Philip K. Dick novel, Ben. Ubik.
Yeah, so he wasn't good at naming stuff.
Flow my tears, the policeman said. Oh shit, he did Minority Report.
He did Minority Report. He did A Scanner
But he
Darkly.
called it The Minority Report. So
didn't need the the. Yeah. He just needed a name guy.
Time out of joint.
He just needed a name guy. Oh, he also wrote an anti-abortion story.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, you can't win them all.
Weird guy. Just a weird guy. Okay. Android's Dream of
Dr. Blood Money. Now that one's got something to it.
You really know what you're getting into with Dr. Blood Money, I feel like. Unless you don't, unless it has nothing to do with Dr. Blood Money.
Confessions of a crap artist.
Well, I don't know where or when he was able to interview Brian Herbert, but that's an amazing story.
Maybe he did enough drugs and he had like a premonition.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, previous to this, we did a judging books by their cover. But previous to that, we did Mona Lisa Overdrive.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention this is a Patreon voted on episode.
I thought, okay, we're going to have ourselves a cyberpunk month, right? Like Gibson, PKD back to back. Like we're going to hit some serious cyberpunk. We're going to get into the deep literature of cyberpunk.
That is what I would use to describe this novel. Cyberpunk.
You're being sarcastic, right?
What self-respecting cyberpunk book does not have a lengthy treatise on owning animals, Ben? Yeah?
The animal
I want a goat or an ostrich.
You won't be surprised to know that the animal thing is cut entirely from the movie. They did not think it would be. There's a lot of differences. We'll get into it. So that's the main thing I wanted to point out, because I would go ahead and say the majority of our listeners probably do not read the books, and many of them will know that Blade Runner was based on a book called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and they're gonna think, because it has the word android in the title, that like it has something to do with robots. They're not robots. This is the greatest misuse of the word android since Dragon Ball Z.
Androids? Actually, the technical term is cyborgs.
Androids.
Hey now, those were cyborgs, I think.
They were cyborgs.
I am purely biomechanical, unlike my brother and sister, Cyborgs 17 and 18.
We call them androids.
Well, good for you, you're wrong.
Okay, so the androids in Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, they're not androids. They're full human beings. It's just they're kind of like test tube babies. They're genetically engineered beings designed to do work in space colonies. And the reason they need to do work in space colonies, humans. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the crux. That's the whole point of the book. What does it mean to be human? Are they human?
No.
How do we justify not treating them like humans? But they're human for all intents and purposes. Like this is almost like a thinly veiled
mercerism, Ben. That's how I justify not treating them like humans, because they lack the empathy that I have when I kill them.
You won't be surprised to learn that mercerism was cut from the movie.
What? But that's like the most important thing, I guess, because that was how the book ended for some reason.
The movie doesn't end much better, at least the one I saw, which could be a totally
Doesn't
different
he
ending.
give a speech and then he goes, "Time to die," and then he dies? Is that
What? No, that's not the
no?
that's not the end.
Oh, that should have been the end.
Yeah, it should have. You want to know a weird crossover though? The
Uh-oh.
lady who played Chani in the 1984 Dune is Rachel in
That's
Blade Runner.
weird.
Yeah, that's weird. She was in 2 weird drug sci-fi stories. Let's talk about my expectations going into this book, because I think my expectations are the expectations of many. I'm expecting Blade
Han
Runner.
Solo. Han Solo's a gritty detective man who's got to find the androids and get them.
And he's doing it in a cyberpunk world. There's neon, chrome, fucking Japanese everywhere. There's noodles.
There's definitely not a bunch of abandoned buildings and radioactive dust that kills and sterilizes people.
And Rick Deckard isn't a fucking loser nerd.
I was shocked with how just lame Deckard was.
The book starts off. I forget what the exact phrase is, but there's something like his wife. He touches his wife.
His wife is an asshole.
No, I like his wife. I like his wife. If I was married to this guy, I would be his wife. Imagine you're
that is
you're
that
a
is
woman.
how marriage works.
You're a woman in the 1950s. You have like no rights. You have like your only thing is to be a wife, and this is what you got. This guy.
He can't even bring home an ostrich.
Look, Nate, if you brought home an ostrich, that would be the coolest thing you ever did. I don't know why you're getting down on him for that. Okay, the plot of the book, sort of maybe the plot of Blade Runner, the movie as well. It's not even discussed in the movie, but this is a post-apocalypse. Do androids dream of electric sheep? And there's been some kind of nuclear war on Earth, and it has just completely wrecked the ecosystem of the Earth. The Earth is covered in radioactive dust, which doesn't necessarily kill you. I don't know if they have a treatment for it or something, but
it's a slow death.
It's a slow death. It's I guess
give it like 20 or 30 years,
Yeah, so
it'll get you.
People become sterile. They have like an accelerated dementia.
They become chicken heads, Ben.
Chicken head is actually, I'm gonna say, like top points for use of language. Because at first, chicken head seems like a stupid sci-fi word. Like it's just one of those lame insults. But then like the vitriol with which people call him a chicken head, it starts to like, it's like the hard R of animal insults. Like
I can't not think of the Metal Gear Solid 5 chicken hat that Snake can wear.
When Pris is like, I don't want to live with a fucking chicken head, I'm like, whoa, you can't just call him.
That was when I was like, you know what? Maybe we should retire her. Let's take her out back, boys.
Yeah, and then like how hurt he gets when his boss calls him a chicken head, and he's like or his coworker calls him a chicken head when he's super frustrated with him, and his coworker is like the one person who had never called him that, and he's so hurt by it, and I'm like, oh my god.
I thought it was his boss.
No, they both call him a chicken head, but the one that hurt was his friend. It's okay. Let's set up the book. So it's post-apocalypse. Radioactive dust everywhere. Ecosystems ruined. Ecosystems, I would go so far as to say non-existent somehow.
All of the animals are dying.
Nothing can survive except large primate human beings.
That checks out, because we're the best.
Not even spiders. Not even insects.
Yeah.
Only human beings.
That's all you need to run an environment, baby. Or at least that's what Elon Musk has me believing. We're going to Mars.
Most human beings have taken the Elon Musk ship, gone to Mars, gone to the moon, gone to the space colonies. They even have interstellar travel.
Oh shit, I don't remember that part.
I think
Did
they do.
really?
Yeah, I think they do.
Why the fuck are we living on shitty Mars then? Go somewhere else.
There's put a pin in that. So humans have developed a couple of cultural traits because of this. So first thing, everyone is heavily encouraged to leave Earth. They are given free passage to the colonies. They're encouraged to go there. They need people who can breed and who can work, and basically they're just trying to get as many people out there as they can. And that seems like a suspiciously good deal. And I said put a pin in it because like it seems like the androids are hinting that it actually sucks out there. Like it's actually terrible. And
yeah, if you're a disgusting inferior being like an android, I'm sure it sucks.
so
But the glorious human race, Ben.
One of the incentives they have for you to go out there is everybody who goes out there gets one free android of your choosing. Essentially, a fully sentient, customizable human being that you can have for your very own. And
Yeah.
nobody thinks that's creepy or weird.
No. What if I get lonely and aroused?
You're not allowed to have
Also,
sex
I
with
need
them.
manual labor.
It's
Wait,
illegal.
what?
It's illegal
What?
to have sex
What?
with them.
What?
But we did make
Man.
them really hot, and ain't nobody checking, you know. I didn't think that would get you.
Oh man.
So sometimes these androids, they don't like that. They don't like being slaves, and they escape. They escape to Earth, where people do not have androids. Androids are manufactured on Earth, but they're not given to the people of Earth. They're for the colonies. So an android can escape back to Earth and try to blend in amongst human beings, which they can do very successfully because, again, for all intents and purposes, they are human beings.
Except they lack that empathy, Ben. Mercer told me himself, what you're saying is like blasphemy, but I don't think it's a religion. So,
It's 100%.
you know, I guess
religion.
no, Ben, it's not.
I think it's like
Because
stated
a
to be
talk
a religion.
show host told me it was a lie or something. I guess we'll go get into that later. But
There's going to be a lot of. We'll get into that later.
I don't understand. But yeah, it starts with he wakes up and his wife is like, "Good morning, you fucking murderer." That's right, you're a murderer. You're hired by the police to kill people.
She said,
Those
"Get your
poor
crude
Andys."
cop's hand off me." His wife is based. The kids say that, right? When people hate cops, that's based.
Is that what that means?
I think it means it's something political.
Oh,
I think it means
okay.
like you represent like the utmost of your political beliefs. If you're under 30, tell me what based means.
It's the opposite of trebled.
It should be.
Hello, fellow kids.
Rick Deckard's wife is based. That's my take. Maybe that's the name of this episode. Because God knows it would be better than doing Android Stream of Electric Sheep. Yeah, she hates him, and he's just a total pushover. I mean, he just takes it.
And they have boxes that allow them to regulate their own mood.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. She has a 6-hour self-accusatory depression scheduled for today. What a weird thing to do. Oh, I made a note too that I hated the audiobook reader because he was the same guy who reads the Brian Herbert books.
I didn't read I read the actual book.
Yeah, good for you, man. That's the way to go.
Yeah, you could have my voice in your head reading this to you. There's got to be they're stealing Scarlett Johansson's voice. There's got to be enough audio of me on the internet to develop an AI to read to you.
Well,
I'm
then
way
is that a
cheaper than
person?
ScarJo OpenAI. If you want to settle with her and go with Ben, I
Just hop on over to our Patreon. You'll also get some free votes out of it, you know.
I'd do it for like $2,000 and a steak dinner. You can even Tupac me. You can have me on stage. You can
Do it after your death, or
whatever.
okay, all right.
Before or after, I don't care. Grand Moff Tarkin me. Put me in movies. It'd be great.
So let's see. The Rand Corporation. I thought that was funny. She was a thing at the time, right?
Oh, Ayn Rand. Is that what you're
Yeah.
thinking? Yeah.
Yeah.
A little after Ayn Rand's time, I think.
All right. And let's see. Deckard has a sheep.
Oh, that's the other cultural
but
artifact.
It's
Is like,
disgusting robot sheep. It's not even real, Ben.
okay, so there's like most of this book felt like a Ray Bradbury knockoff. Like, you know how Ray Bradbury has all that weird, like 1950s technology with clunky names and clunky uses, and it's used very much like an electric toaster, which was its inspiration. They don't even have to think
An
about
electric toaster, as opposed to the coal burning toaster.
as
What's
opposed to the
alternative?
stovetop.
Okay.
You would toast bread in a pan. Like, you know, you can make
No,
bread hot
no,
in a
you
variety
don't.
of ways.
No, you don't. You don't. Sorry. If you unless you're grilling cheese, you don't make bread hot. Toast did not exist before the toaster.
Toast.
Right?
Why did they make a toaster then?
They made a toaster because someone was like, you know what? I want to bring toast into the world. It's like how God wanted there to be light, Ben. Some guy was like, I want there to be
It's
toast.
exactly like how God wanted there to be light. That's exactly how the toaster came to be. And God said, "Let there be toast." No, but it's like the mood altering stuff, the electric animals. It's just like weird sci-fi devices. Like Ray Bradbury seemed very inspired by those weird little contraptions that were starting to enter the home right around the time he was writing. And these like ubiquitous appliances, like Ray Bradbury lived in fear of the day where an adult man couldn't conceive of there being toast without a toaster. That was his nightmare.
Well, I'm your nightmare, Ray. I'm here.
I don't know, so that felt very Ray Bradbury to me. Very not cyberpunk. I would not describe Ray Bradbury's sci-fi as anything approaching cyberpunk.
I wouldn't describe this as cyberpunk either.
That's kind of the point I'm making. So
Yeah.
the second cultural thing, in addition to the whole like androids thing, the people of Earth worship animals.
Yeah.
Having a living animal is a status symbol.
Yeah. I've got a sheep. Wink, wink. It's
Do
definitely
you?
a real sheep.
Yeah, and then there's that keeping up with the Joneses, like 50s suburb mentality of like, well, Bill has a fucking horse.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to have, a cat? You think I'm supposed to
Yeah.
have a fucking cat in my San Francisco apartment? No, I'm gonna have a sheep. That's what I'm gonna have.
He wanted to buy one of the horses. Were they foals? Is that what a baby horse is?
Foal colt.
Yeah. And his neighbor is like, I can't do it, but you've already got a sheep. He's like, it's an electric sheep. I'm a
yeah.
fraud, Bill. You think I enjoy waking up every day being a loser, Bill? I have a fucking electric sheep that I pretend is real. I come up here and I feed it. It doesn't even need food, Bill.
My wife.
Fine.
Okay, so we're introduced to Rick Deckard. Wife hates him, calls him a cop. His wife shows up to their marriage bed wearing like an ACAB pendant and just tells him to get out. She wants to schedule her like daily depression. She needs him to leave so that she can be depressed because that's better than being around him. Then he goes out to feed a fake sheep so that his neighbors don't think he's a fucking loser. Then he just walks up to his neighbor, begs for an animal, and says, "Bill, I'm a fucking loser."
Yep.
Let's contrast this with Blade Runner. Let's contrast this with Blade Runner. Han Solo in a fucking trench coat, ordering noodles from a cyberpunk ramen shop. He gets hijacked for one more job by his old boss at the police station. And he's like, "Deckard, you're the best we got. I need you back in the game. I got 6 skin jobs wandering my city." Deckard's like, "I don't do that anymore, boss." He's like, "I need you, Deckard. They're dangerous. They already killed like 10 people." And he's like, "Fine, one more job." But then there's this fucking loser in the book who's got to call a fake vet because his electric sheep is broken. What do you do with that, Nate?
You have Harrison Ford look at the script and go, "I'm not fucking saying that. No, this isn't my character."
You don't hire Harrison Ford for the guy in the the guy in the book is like I don't know. It's like I don't even know who would play the guy in the book. What Hollywood guy is pathetic enough?
Michael Cera.
No. That's too pathetic.
That's too pathetic.
He's got to be pathetic enough. He's got to be like almost psychotic. He's got
a guy who plays BoJack Horseman, Joe Bluth. I don't remember.
Will Arnett plays.
There you go.
BoJack Horseman. Will Arnett might be able to pull that off. Pathetic, yet also like he might be able to kill people.
Unhinged, yeah.
Unhinged. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, oh god, there's a lot of like overlap between Deckard and BoJack Horseman. Not the least of which is the fucking horse.
Well, Ben, getting back to your thing, you said that they're like, "I got 6 jobs, they killed people, I need you, you're the best." In this, they're like, "We've got 6 androids, you're like the second best, but our top guy got put in the hospital."
He's not even the first choice. He's like, the boss is like, "Okay, we got 6," and they don't call them skin jobs in the book. They call them Andes, which isn't bad, but it's not skin job. Skin job is brutal. Skin job strikes fear into the hearts of men. Andy is dull for children. So Deckard, he shows up to work, which by the way, he doesn't even have work most days. There's not that many androids roaming San Francisco. So he's like, "We got 5 Andes. They took out Jim Bob." And Deckard's like, "They took out Jim Bob? These must be some pretty intense Andes." And they're like, "Yeah. So we're gonna need you to take it." And
there's just a little bit of an eye roll, like
his boss is like,
"I guess we got you." I mean,
his boss is like, I feel like I'm sentencing a man to death today. Jim Bob got his spine lasered or something. So Deckard, you're gonna have to try. You're gonna need help. I got a bunch of things I want you to do. I want you to go find out if our android test even works. Because we think maybe like one of the androids got the drop on him. Oh, I think they said one of the androids got the drop on him by pretending to be one of the dementia people. But then in the middle of the interview, when he was about to get caught, he just pulled out a gun and shot the dude. But the guy had underestimated him. So Androids are flawed in one way that is ambiguous and weird. They don't feel empathy except when they do.
Okay.
And the first thing you might think is that empathy is a hard to quantify trait
No. I'm
that,
thinking
that different people feel in
cheek
different.
heat, pupil dilation, and you know what? That's it. Those two things. I think that's what empathy is.
Like saying that they don't feel empathy is like saying they don't feel love. Like, how do you test to see if somebody loves something?
Well, you say, I'll cut you in half and give half of you to each mom, and then the real mom will be like, no. And that's how you know.
Well, how do you tell if somebody loves, like, I don't know, a book?
Because they'll post about it on social media nonstop. And they'll be real annoying about it.
Hmm.
Like my ex, she really loved Doctor Who. And
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about
sh-
Patrick Stump again.
oh yeah, that there you go, that too. And like she really needed everyone to know that she loved Doctor Who and Patrick Stump and Harry Potter. Like that was the core of her personality.
Wasn't she in theater? Isn't that why you won't watch musicals with me anymore?
Yeah, she was in theater.
Well, you got to have a lot of empathy to be in theater.
Well, she wasn't very good. I
Oh, you're not bitter. Yeah, the androids they don't feel empathy, so they got a test. Now, if you're fighting a hostile android, you might think you're going to need like some sort of scanner that you can point at them to see if you can.
yeah, we got that for the drugs now. The police just open a bag of drugs and they fire the thing in there and it tells you if there's fentanyl in there.
What if there's a drug that's not fentanyl?
I think maybe it does other drugs too. I don't know, but we gotta buy lots of them for the police. We gotta waste all of our opioid addiction blood money that we got from the pharmacies.
I was talking to a guy the other day that told me he accidentally smuggled weed into Mexico.
Nice. I had a friend who was so drunk and or high that he woke up, like he came to in the Las Vegas airport with a brick of weed taped to his back for some reason. Then he had to grab a plane ticket and come home.
Did he bring the weed?
I have no fucking clue. I think he had to toss it. I don't know how he got it on the airplane, but I don't think he knows how either.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Or maybe he went and he got the weed, intent on bringing it home, and then he kind of like realized that was a bad idea. Around the time he was like, why am I in an airport in a different city 2 time zones away?
I feel like he was doing more than weed.
Yeah, he was definitely doing more than weed. Like, that's for sure. I think he was mixing alcohol with,
I think he was doing more than alcohol.
Something pretty potent. I think it was a combination of some things,
Oh, wow. What a detour. Okay. So,
Yeah.
anyway, that's not how they test androids. Even in the movie, that's not how they test androids. In both, they have to administer the Voight-Kampff test, which is a series of questions. Questions like the ones I'm going to pose to you all right now.
What is the sound of one hand clapping?
I have a list of questions. It's your birthday. Someone gives you a calfskin wallet. What do you do?
Say thank you.
You've got a little boy.
Yeah, thanks for slaughtering a calf. I didn't even know we still had those.
You've got a little boy. He shows you his butterfly collection, plus the killing jar. What do you do?
I rear my foot back, and then I swing it as hard as I can right into his sack, crushing them, taking him down to the ground.
Okay, that's hilarious. You're bringing me back around. You're watching television. Suddenly you realize there's a wasp crawling on your arm.
Okay. So, I'm going to attempt to slap it, and if that fails, I am going to run while screaming, and eventually I will return with the bug spray to try and get it.
Actually, that actually sounds about right. You're in a desert, walking along in the sand, when all of a sudden you look down and you see a tortoise. It's crawling toward you. You reach down, you flip the tortoise over on its back. The tortoise lays on its back, its belly baking in the hot sun, beating its legs, trying to turn itself over, but it can't, not without your help. But you're not helping. Why is that?
Wow, I guess because I'm some sort of asshole.
And there really isn't a good way to answer that question. That's a weird one. I don't know why I put that on there.
Yeah, I feel like you're.
It's
That
kind
was
of
a
it's kind of
leading
trapping
question.
you as a leading question.
Yeah.
Describe in single words only the good things that come into your mind about your mother.
Kind. Do I say more than one word?
You're an
How
android.
Many words?
Bam,
Oh shit!
bam, bam,
Oh
bam,
shit!
bam, 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 bam. So yeah, the Voight-Kampf test is a series of questions. They hook you up to what is essentially a lie detector, measures a bunch of physiological traits while you respond to the questions to see how you respond to the questions. And if you get them wrong, you're an android or a person with an empathy deficit.
A sociopath. Yeah.
Which the book acknowledges does exist.
Yeah. So what they do is they go to test it on the Rosens. They're the ones who made this new series of android, and he tests it on Rachel Rosen,
AKA
and
Chani.
yeah, and he's like, "You're an android," and the other Rosen, the dude, is like, "No, she was actually she got PTSD or something, dog.
She was not
You're
raised on Earth. She was raised on a spaceship
there. You go.
around only adults, and her development was somewhat affected, and so she has an empathy deficit.
So instead of being like, well, I mean, like, you still want me to take her out? We can just say she's an android, man. I mean, do we really want a sociopath running around? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've got the gun right here. We can just no, this was in fact a trap. You see, they were like they recorded him saying she was an android, but she's not an android, and now your test is meaningless. But we really want you to say that it isn't, and we'll give you an owl. You want an owl?
I don't know
We'll
if
give
you
an
mentioned
owl.
these are the people that make the androids.
Yes, I did mention that.
Okay, they don't want the test to work, because if the test doesn't work, then they could prove that anyone could be killing anyone, and what androids.
But then, plot twist, she actually is an android.
And plot twist, Rick Deckard figures it out after being tricked, and I thought it was going to be another thing where he's just a loser.
Not only does he figure it out, but he also figures out that the owl is probably fake, and they confirm that.
Yeah. The owls were the first to die. For some reason.
Yeah, because they're outside of my window, hooting all fucking night, and I finally lost it. I bought a gun, and I shot it. And all its friends.
I think it was the radioactive fallout, but...
No, I shot the last owl.
It sounds like
there was
android
still some
behavior.
Left.
It sounds like android behavior. So, yeah. And the interesting thing is, Rachel does not even know she's an android.
So does that mean Deckard could be an android, Ben? No.
No, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, the is Deckard an android? Because that's the other thing I knew about Blade Runner going into this, is that there's this big mystery. Like, if the androids have implanted memories, then is it possible that the guy hunting the androids is an android? The book raises this question by making a different bounty hunter, not Deckard, think he's an android. They also tease the possibility that like Deckard is having a disconnect with reality, but it's gaslighting. It's an android plot to make Deckard think he's crazy. And there's another bounty hunter that could be an android. They have to do the whole test to find out if he is or isn't. And it turns out he's not. He's just an asshole.
Yeah.
But in the movie, you're supposed to seriously wonder if Deckard is an android because of a unicorn dream. So a couple of things about the movie here with the implanted memories. I didn't get the vibe that Deckard was an android at all in the movie. I didn't even think it was even interesting to consider that he might be. And that may be an unpopular take because I know the director thinks he was an android or something, and maybe even Harrison Ford thought he was an android. There's a couple of things I don't understand. So the androids in the movie are super strong, and that's kind of hinted that it could be a possibility in the book as well because they're designed to work in harsh conditions. So like they perform these feats of strength, they beat the shit out of Deckard over and over and over again. And like Deckard is not super strong, and he gets the shit beaten out of him over and over and over again. And the only thing that hints that he could be an android is that he keeps dreaming about a unicorn. And this one guy, whenever Deckard kills somebody, he comes to like the crime scene. He's a cop type. And he leaves little origami figures at each crime scene. And it's like his weird thing. Deckard finds one of those origami things in his apartment, and it's an origami unicorn. But Deckard never told anyone about the dream. So the only way that origami guy could have known that Deckard had a thing about unicorns is if he knew Deckard's mind, like because his memories were implanted. I don't care. Like it doesn't really have anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
And it's also like not the point.
Yeah, but also, did he dream of an electric sheep, Ben?
No, he dreamt of a real unicorn. What would have been hilarious
Sounds
if
like
he dreamt
android
of
behavior.
How do you make an origami sheep, though? I wanted it to be a sheep, but then it had to be a unicorn.
You gotta crumple it around in like a ball, and
that would be really unimpressive origami. The memory thing was interesting. The problem I see is that, and this is kind of the problem in the book, though. So the thing in the book and the movie is that Deckard, throughout his like quest to hunt down these androids, these androids are of a type that is the most advanced, the most human-like. And so he kills the first one, no big deal. The one that gives him kind of the most trouble is an opera singer. Deckard,
wow. You're gonna really leave out my Soviet boy over there?
Do you want to talk about your Soviet boy?
The Soviet Union guy. He was the guy who got the previous detective.
Well, Deckard decided to wear a laser jammer this time.
Yeah, I was gonna say he pulled out his gun and he's firing it and nothing's happening. And then he's like, "I swear this never happens to me before. Perhaps some light choking will help." And then he tries to choke Deckard.
And then Deckard shoots him with a normal gun.
Yeah.
But I'm skipping over it because, like...
Who cares?
Yeah.
So there's an opera singer.
There's an opera singer. Deckard likes opera. And the problem is this opera singer is good. And opera is an
Too
emotional
good.
art, and she's making him feel things, and he starts to wonder to himself, like, okay, she's here, she's singing opera, like,
Yeah, he feels things, Ben. He feels something down in his pants, Ben. His pantaloons begin to stir because it turns out that he only really cares about androids if they happen to look ladylike.
that is a
He
thing.
has he
I
has
thought you were being
empathy.
I thought you were being weird, but that is a thing.
No,
Yeah,
that
that is
is
a
true.
He only has empathy for the female androids. We'll talk about this. But the thing with the opera singer is he's sitting there thinking, like, why do I have to kill this lady? Okay, she's an android, but like, she's just singing opera and she's good at it. Like, what's so wrong with an android singing opera? And he doesn't want to kill her. Fortunately, there's another bounty hunter that's a psychopath who is more than willing to kill her, and he does. And Deckard's really sad about it, and he has them perform the Voight-Kampff test on him, and he discovers, like, in one of the questions that he is feeling genuine empathy for the androids, which, again, like, yeah, why wouldn't you?
Because they're not human, Ben.
They're
Did you see that guy? He was doing a Soviet Russian accent, and he was trying to laser me.
this isn't even a case of like an artificial intelligence or something. Like, this isn't even like iRobot. This isn't like you're learning to recognize something fundamentally non-human as a person. This
They
is
can't feel empathy. Mercer told me so.
they're
Okay.
genetically human. They're made of meat.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
indistinguishable except
Yeah.
for some weird bone
Except
marrow test that takes like 10 hours to come back.
there you go. There you go. I've got the superior marrow. I've got the human marrow. And I can feel empathy sometimes.
To be fair, I think this is like before DNA. I think this was written before DNA. So if you made them from like a genetic blueprint, presumably you have a database of all the android DNA, and you could just run a DNA test on them, which would make them much easier to kill.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't get to shine a light in your eye and put a little thing on
Shine a
your
light in
cheek.
their eye. Nothing's stopping you.
But at that point, you've taken all the fun out of it.
You've robbed it of its meaning. So Deckard starts getting a call from Rachel. Rachel's offering to help. She's like, "Hey, I'll help you track down these androids. You're not going to get them without me. It's going to be tough. They're
It's
pretty."
like, I already got that Soviet guy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yep. He gets enough money to buy a goat.
You left out the part that they had a secret other police station that was staffed by an android.
I did leave
Tried
that
to
part
get him
out.
to tried to get him to be got by a real bounty hunter for some reason instead of just shooting him in the car.
It was very convoluted.
And,
I left it out.
in the
So did
end,
the movie.
In the end, they shot all of them.
Oh, so
did the movie cut that? Is that what you said?
The movie, yeah, the movie cuts that.
yeah, probably a good call.
Also, bizarrely, so this is one thing the movie does not do well. The opera singer is the turning point of it's the midpoint of like Deckard's whole journey. It's kind of critical to the story. It's where he begins to feel empathy for the androids. In the movie, she's not an opera singer. She's like a stripper. And he doesn't watch her performance.
Oh.
He just chases her and shoots her in the back.
Okay.
But he has like an emotional breakdown as if he suddenly feels empathy for her now, but I don't know why.
Okay,
Because like
that's a choice.
in the book, the performance convinces him that she's a person, and in the movie, I don't know what's going on. So like I know they didn't want to have the voiceover, and this is going to be another unpopular opinion. I don't think the voiceover would have made it better. I think the voiceover would have been stupid, but I also have no idea what the hell he was thinking in that scene. Like, having read the book, I knew that this was the point in the story where Deckard begins to feel empathy for the androids, but there was not a lot in the scene itself that made me think that's what he was going through. Harrison Ford's doing some good like face acting, but the murder isn't especially brutal. She's not especially sympathetic. She's It's weird. I don't think the movie handled it very well. And I can kind of see why some suit was like, yeah, we need a voiceover there. You need to tell me what the hell's going on. A lot of the movie is Harrison Ford looking at stuff.
Oh, this is unfortunate. So we need more voiceovers. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I understand why people thought they did. Because having read the book, I know what's
Well,
going
it sounds
on.
like it could be a noir thing.
Yeah, I think that was sort of what they marketed it as. But it's also like it's supposed to be, at least the cut I saw, it comes off as like very art house, and it is like gorgeous. I mean, I can see why this movie is remembered as fondly as it is, because it is cyberpunk. I mean, like it invented so much of what we recognize as cyberpunk. And like all the shots, all the sets, all the costumes, everything, like it looks great. It's got this like moody atmosphere. I liked watching it. It was an experience, but like if I hadn't read the book, I definitely would not have followed Decker's emotional journey at all. And there's another
Was there a
change.
Russian? Or, sorry, was there a Soviet?
No. No, they were all pretty like New York. They introduce a whole thing where, so you know, they have a fail safe on the androids in the book. And the fail safe is that the androids only live like 4 years. In the movie, that's like the main plot point. In the movie, the android's goal is to get to the guy, the boss of the Rosen Corporation, and get him to extend their lives somehow. They want to be able to live like a normal lifespan. And the crushing thing is the guy can't do that. Like it's not something in the movie, it's like not as so much a failsafe as it is like we can't make it work.
Well, thankfully, he wasn't a real person, Ben. He's got the inferior bone marrow, so
Yeah,
score another one for the humans, am I right?
I guess. Um, Also, in the movie, Rachel does not offer to help.
Oh, I thought you were going to say offer her sexual services in exchange for him not hunting down the final 3 androids, which is a thing that happens in the book.
Yeah, so let's talk about the differences there too. The movie's worse.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So Rachel in the movie, he administers the Voight-Kampff test, and in this one, he doesn't fall for a trick. But the test goes on an incredibly long time. And after the test, she's asked to leave the room. And then he turns to the boss of the corporation. He's like, she's an android. He's like, but it took you a long time to figure it out, didn't you? And Harrison Ford's like, yeah, it's a pretty good model. He's like, that's Rachel, man. She's our best. And she goes to him later, trying to find out something because after the test, I guess the guy was weird with her and she wants to find out like what was going on. So she asks Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford tells her everything about her life, all of her memories, and tells her, you're an android. You're not real. And
Okay.
she storms off. She comes back eventually. He calls her back. She doesn't come. She winds up at his apartment again.
And then he administers the thrust test.
There's a very awkward scene, which again, I don't know what was going through this character's head at all.
Get the voiceover.
He kisses her. She does not kiss him back. She looks fucking terrified.
Oh dear.
She tries to leave.
Oh no.
He physically stops her from leaving.
Oh no. Oh god.
He forces himself on her, and eventually she kisses back.
This is the hero.
Yeah.
This is the guy we're rooting for.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I'm gonna guess that in the remake they cut that part out entirely.
The remake, it's a sequel.
It's a
It's not a remake.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I haven't seen it, but it's a sequel. So Harrison Ford, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. Maybe in the 80s, maybe in 1982.
Yeah.
No, it's uncomfortable to watch, and I don't know what was in the character's head. This is a weird one where I'm going to say the movie that was made in 1982, with regard to the sex stuff, a lot more problematic than the book that was written in the 60s. In the book, he calls her and he's like, you want to get a hotel room? He's basically like, he's had an interaction with his wife. They got a goat now. His wife's all happy about the goat, but he hates his wife. She hates him. He's miserable. He's discovered like she's absolutely right about him. He's just a fucking killer. He's the worst. And he calls Rachel and he because the one bounty hunter said something to him about, you know what you need to do to get over this? You need to sleep with one and then kill it. Which you would think would be worse. Like you'd think that's a pretty ugly thought. That's not normal. That's not passing the empathy test.
You're taking advice from a guy who almost failed to be human.
I would argue maybe he did fail to be human. I would argue maybe the test is flawed.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. I think for sure.
So I guess maybe the book's not better. But that guy's not a good guy, you know? Like in the movie, it's our hero. And it's awkward, man. Like she's not into it. She looks scared. It's not good. And in the book, he calls her up and he's like, "Meet me at a hotel. We're gonna do this." And she's like, "I'm not gonna come out there to help you kill him tonight. I'll come out there tomorrow." He's like, "They'll be gone by tomorrow." She's like, "Well, yeah, I'm busy." He's like, "Come out. We'll just hang out in the hotel. I won't kill him." She's like, "You're serious? If I come out there and I spend the night with you, you're not gonna kill him?" He's like, "Yep." Now, there's a little dark thought in the back of his mind, I think. Tough to tell what's going on in Deckard's mind in the book, too. I think he's genuinely very mixed up.
Yeah.
One of the androids, Pris, is the same model as Rachel. Looks exactly like her. So he's thinking he's going to sleep with Rachel and then kill Pris. And maybe that'll get him over this block,
Yeah.
which is like just the most human thing I can think of to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no. This is a grand plan.
And so he tells.
I don't even see why you're bringing it up in that way, you know?
Yeah, I don't even know why I'm connecting those two things.
Yeah, you just it's real human to sleep with and then murder someone. Real BTK kind of
For the express purpose of getting over your feelings for them. That's definitely not like the definition of madness. That's definitely not the most horror movie shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, he's definitely not a serial killer.
I mean, he's literally a serial killer.
Yeah, but is it a serial
Yes.
killer if you're paid by the
Is it a
government
serial
to do
killer
it?
if you're paid by the government to do it? Oh, that's a deep thought. That's a deep thought, Nate. And I bet in his libertarian years, Philip K. Dick was wondering the same thing. So he tells Rachel his whole sad story about like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. My wife hates me. I got a goat. That was his first mistake. And they have sex, and he's sad. He's just sad. It's just sad. And then Rachel reveals this is all part of her plan. She's done this sort of thing before. All you bounty hunters, all you Blade Runners. She doesn't call them that, but like, what if she did? All you guys, you come out here, you think you're going to kill us, and then I make you fall in love.
Yeah.
And once you have this, now her body is constantly described as looking like adolescent, which is a little weird.
Yeah, that was real weird. It looks adolescent, I think, except for her boobs. I think.
No, her boobs are what looks adolescent. It's her face that doesn't.
There you go. Okay, I was like, what the hell was not adolescent? Okay, so that's weird.
Yeah, no, it's a weird way to describe
someone you're about to have sex with. Yes.
In a thing you're writing down to show to other people.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I think if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're about to have sex with someone, and you're describing them as adolescent, and also you're a grown man, maybe just like leave. Maybe like you're done here. You're too far in. It's time to go.
Nate, let's add a few more caveats to that. You're married. You told your wife you're on your way to work. Your job is to kill people. People who look exactly like the woman you're going to sleep with.
And the only joy in your life was buying a goat.
The only joy in your life is buying a goat. And so Deckard, the book cuts away from Deckard after this moment. He's betrayed by her. He's angry at her for manipulating him. He sends her back or whatever. He's not going to kill him. He drives out to the middle of the desert. He has like a weird religious experience. He's strange. There's two perspectives in the book. We haven't really talked about this. And this character is in the movie. It's a little different in the movie. The chicken head. I forget his name. Do you remember his name?
You're talking about Isidore, John Isidore.
So Isidore, he's one of the people who experiences like radiation-related dementia. He lives out in the middle of nowhere, and the androids eventually move into his apartment building thinking it's abandoned. He runs into them, and they decide they could use him as kind of cover. So
they're his only friends.
Yeah, it's the saddest fucking story.
And it has very, like, no conclusion for him.
I was super depressed reading everything with him.
And he can't even remember the name of his boss by the end. And then the androids are like, yeah, Buster Friendly, who were. Do we even want to go into that?
No.
They're battling for the soul of the human race. He's a talk show host. He's an android. Yeah. But anyway, Buster Friendly proves Mercerism is wrong, I guess. Incorrect. And the androids are like, yeah, score one for the android race, baby.
The movie.
And then they're like, they keep talking about how humans have empathy. What even is empathy? They say, as they're ripping legs off of a spider to see how it will walk with less legs. And they're like, I don't think he needs all 8 of those. Yoink.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain point, like many of the androids do display empathy, except randomly at the end where they turn into sociopaths. I mean, like some of them are selfish, but 2 of them are in love. Different 2, by the way. In the movie, it's, I guess, Pris, who is the lover of Rutger Hauer. And Deckard shows up and he kills them all. And
yeah, he slaughters them all. He has a weird vision of Mercer.
Mercer is so weird. I didn't get it. I tried. I'm
glad it wasn't just me.
I reread all the Mercer stuff. I don't fully understand what he was going for. There's a virtual reality psycho hallucinatory experience that the whole world engages in for fun. And it's this Sisyphus type story where this guy named Mercer climbs a mountain and falls down and climbs a mountain, falls down. And it's supposed to like be the human experience. Like there's times when
androids, you would never fall down a mountain. And that's why we're the superior species, man.
People join this shared hallucination and they share their emotions and everything, and it's like it's this whole thing, and then people start seeing Mercer in the waking world, and it's fake. It's just like a show somebody made. It's not very important throughout the entire story until the end, when many of the characters seem to be losing their grip on reality and they start either hallucinating the Mercer character or they're genuinely seeing the Mercer character. I don't know. In the movie, I think that's the unicorn stuff. I think they tried to replace like the complicated construct of Mercerism, but like Mercerism doesn't belong in this book. It's an idea for a different story.
Well, Ben, if it helps, I'm pretty sure it came from a different one of his stories.
Okay. That would make sense because it does not fit.
It originally came from Philip K. Dick's short story, The Little Black Box.
Okay. Yeah, I would have cut that. But it's a really short book. It barely even qualifies as a book. You can't cut anything without making it not a novel. So, yeah, Deckard kills all the androids. Now, in the movie, this is a much bigger deal. In the movie, I think this is the only reason, not the only reason, but I think this is the main reason people remember the movie. Because in the movie, Deckard kills Pris, which was like Rutger Hauer's reason for living. He was trying to extend her life. He's dying. He's going to die soon. He's already getting like the tremors. He can feel his body shutting down. But Deckard kills Pris. And then Rutger Hauer goes just pants on head insane. I kind of mean that literally. He takes off all his clothes for no reason. And he starts chasing Harrison Ford around.
Happens.
He uses...
Wait, hold on. That's the movie. Okay.
Yeah. He starts putting his head through walls. He puts a nail through his palm, like his hand's shaking because he's dying. He puts a nail through his palm like Jesus Christ. And that's just a scene. And then he chases Harrison Ford some more. And then Harrison Ford starts doing the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like he starts like have you ever seen mountain climbers, like people who like to free climb rocks or whatever? Like they'll try to like climb a boulder that's like not a very big boulder, but they Spider-Man their way from underneath the boulder to on top of the boulder.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford starts trying to do that on a building, like a million stories in the air.
Why?
And it takes him forever. And
But
Rutger
he's
Hauer's
an android. I thought he could just.
yeah, I guess he forgot the unicorn or something. I don't know why he forgot he had super strength, or maybe he's just like a shitty android. I don't know.
He's a shitty android.
Maybe he's an android. Like maybe that's why Harrison Ford doesn't die in 4 years, because he's
one of the inferior models.
Spoiler, in the sequel he's not an android. I looked it up.
Oh wow. Way to ruin it.
Yeah. I think the android thing's I think that question's silly. I think it has nothing to do with the point of the movie, and it's just needlessly complicated. And this is coming from me, Nate. This is coming from me. It's
so you know.
It's needlessly adding like douchey philosophical themes that just muddy the water and serve no purpose. So anyway, he's trying to free climb this building upside down, and it takes him forever. Also, it's raining, and he has numerous like concussions, and Rutger Hauer is just laughing at him, making fun of him, and then Rutger Hauer just gets on. He takes the stairs. He just goes onto the roof and like waits for him or something. And then Harrison Ford like free climbs, and he's like super tired, and he jumps across to another building, but he doesn't quite make it. He makes it just far enough to like knock the wind out of him, and he's like clawing, scrambling to pull himself up, but he used all his upper body strength doing that like Ninja Warrior shit earlier, and so he can't pull himself up. And he's gonna fall, and he's hanging on by like one finger. Oh, and Rutger Hauer broke his fingers earlier, and so he's climbing with broken fingers, and then he's gonna fall, and then Rutger Hauer catches him. And you're like, why would he do that? Why would he do that? He's trying to kill him. Why would he do that? And he sits Harrison Ford down, and then that's when he gives that speech like, I've seen stuff you people wouldn't believe. I've seen a star burst in Orion's belt, and I've seen an asteroid rain down on a majestic purple mountain, and I've seen the klaxons of Globular 8, and all of that's gonna vanish. All of those wonderful memories are gonna go away like tears in the rain. And then he dies. And then Harrison Ford's like, what? Meanwhile, in the book.
In the book, I don't even remember how it ended. I remember, so he kills the androids, and it's like, all right, book's over. Oh, it's still continuing. And he drives out. He climbs a mountain. His goat's dead.
No, okay. No. We're not underselling that. Okay. So he comes back home, and his wife is in tears, and he's like, what's wrong, babe? And she's like, our goat's dead. He's like, how did you kill the goat already? She's like, I didn't do it. It was some young woman with the budding breasts of a child who climbed the roof and pushed our goat off. And then she flipped me the middle finger and walked away and signed a thing on our door that said Rachel was here. Rachel just killed his goat because he decided he was going to go kill the androids after all. And so Rachel's like, okay, you kill my friends, I kill your goat. Blood feud, bitch. I loved that. That was just so petty. You thought the book should have ended. I was like, no, I wanted the goat needed to die. That was incredible. Could could a non-human be that petty? That is what makes Rachel human.
There you go.
Yep. That's do androids dream of electric sleep of electric sheep / Blade Runner.
He thought he was gonna be like Mercer, and then he got off the hill or whatever. The end.
Genuinely, I liked both of these things very much. I really enjoyed Blade Runner. I really enjoyed Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. They're really both, and I say this with all the love of a known douche philosopher. They're both really head up their own ass in like the best way. And with that said, I think we got a rubric.
All right. Blog words about books.ninja.
Yep. Unless you're me, in which case you're desperately trying to open the thing you prepared beforehand, but for whatever reason, it's not loading. Okay.
All right, then. Content and ideas.
This is a toughie.
Yeah, I can't decide if it's a 1 or a 2.
Oh, really?
No, I'm fucking with you.
I'm going with a 4.5. This is one where I'm going to use my 0.5.
I was going with a 4, solid.
I think a 4 is pretty reasonable. No, you know what? You're talking me down. You're talking me down to a 4, and I'm going to tell you why you're talking me down to a 4. I think I'm getting a little overzealous because I like the cyberpunk thing. I like the philosophy thing. I like the androids. It's like
no Deus Ex. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I think from what I've heard, I have never played Deus Ex because the graphics are terrible, and you know that. It's a running joke, by the way. I could play the game if I wanted to. I just choose not to. I think a lot of cyberpunk stuff after this, and this includes the movie as well, it is so built on this. It has taken the good parts and done them so much better, and it's just sort of left the bad parts behind, that going back to the source is kind of underwhelming, because there's a lot here that's underdeveloped and a lot here it's mostly just underdeveloped. That's the problem. Some of it doesn't make sense, but a lot of big ideas and not a lot of follow through. And yeah, I think other people have taken it and run with it, and I think it deserves credit for that. I think it deserves credit for the originality, but I don't even think this is Philip K. Dick's best work.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know if there's anything else I could say. So I won't. Moving on, Ben. Organization. I am kind of thinking 3.
I agree.
I think that pacing.
There's nothing special about the organization. A lot of the plot points don't really hit at the appropriate time. Everything is just a little weird. And the Mercer stuff just stops the story dead.
Yeah.
I don't think you could give it more than a 3 with Mercer still in there. Mercer needs to be cut.
Mercer, and you need to do something with our good friend Isidore.
You need to just give him a win.
Yeah.
I'm not usually one to like feel sad. Something of an android, you know? That got me. Use of language.
3? Yeah, 4. I think I'll go with a 4.
I went with a 4. I think silly, like the name is bad. Do androids dream of electric sheep? But I think the rest of it adds a lot of sci-fi flavor. One point I'm going to maybe disagree on a little. I read a thing where Philip K. Dick, though he died before the movie came out, he did get to see some screen tests and some initial visuals from the movie. And he loved them and said that, oh, this is exactly how I pictured it. You're full of shit. That is not how this book is described. Nothing in this.
Harrison Ford never once fed an electric sheep and then thought about how much he was a piece of shit.
Where's the neon? Where's the chrome? You got flying cars. That's it. That's the only thing they kept. Your book is just a dusty, decaying, terrible gray waste. It did not look like that. That being said, what was described was still interesting. And I like the post-apocalyptic vibe. I like the keeping up with the Joneses thing with the animals. It's so weird. It's just it's a book with a lot of style. You could tell Philip K. Dick he's definitely got style, if nothing else. Personal preference. I'm going with a 4.
I am also going with 4.
I think probably been over this. Mercer.
Yeah.
Everything else. Eh.
Ew.
Recommendation strength.
I'm gonna go with a 3, probably.
I think I'll go with a 4.
I'm gonna go with a weak recommendation to genre fans, and
I think
it's all right.
If you're a genre fan, this is like a foundational text of the genre. You have to read this. We waited way too long to read this. If you're a general audience, I think it's a weak recommendation. But I think this kind of crosses the boundary. I could see this taught in an English class or something. Parts of it would be weird to explain to a class. But, I read Brave New World when I was in high school. Orgy Porgy.
Orgy Porgy. God damn it.
Okay. So, overall, I gave this book 15, 30,
I gave it a 67. So you gave it a 71.
I gave it a 71.
Yeah, I'm a bit hard to impress, I'm kind of a big deal.
You're a cultured man. You're sophisticated. You like fancy things. You only the best for Nathaniel Creed. I think that brings us to the end.
All right.
This is where you left an origami gorilla on my desk, and I don't know how you would have known the significance of that unless, oh my God, am I an android?
No.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
All right. Okay, bye.
Goodbye. But before we go, I of course have to thank our Yacht Plan tier patrons. We have Isekai Sensei Sama of the That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster podcast. We got Jamie, the Gravy Man of the If You Want the Gravy Movie blog. John Bierce, actual author of The Mage Errant, The Rack. And John has a Patreon that you can check out to get his short stories. We also have Spooky Shy, Shy with the Y, doing stuff over on TikTok.